time. It's time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special Monday night edition of the Ron and Brian podcast. Matt, obviously, still tweaking from a big weekend. So apologies. He kind of messed up the intro there, but listen, we don't pay him, so we got to keep him around. Brian, it's been, I feel like 12, 13 hours since I've seen you last.
13.
How the hell are you?
I'm tired. I am tired. I'm not going to lie. I'm coming into this episode low energy. Hopefully, the comment section are going to get the energy, the juices flowing. Hopefully, Ron, you're bringing it. You're bringing your A game this week, maybe some high alcohol beer. Packed weekend. Absolutely. Janelle's spot on right here. Spot on. White people problems. It was, now I find myself, this is a rare Monday night episode. It's been a while since we did a weekday episode. The waking up at 5:45 in the morning, full day at work, 2 hours of commute back and forth, rushing through dinner, trying to center myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to be able to just be present in the podcast, not to be distracted by other things, like making sure that the Detroit Tigers take out the Chicago White Sox by at least a run and a half today. Like, to be able to just sit here and be with you. It's going to take everything that I have.
Just, as you often do, just be very mindful, be very demure, and I think you will. You'll get through the next hour plus.
All right.
Well, we all know how we start this thing off with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Sláinte.
Pause.
Drink of the Week. Drink of the Week. Drink of the Week.
Wow, Brian, you couldn't even dance through the entire Drink of the Week song. That's how tired you are. So dig deep. It's what champions do. Dig deep and get to it and tell us what you're drinking tonight.
All right. Listen, when you think of where are you going? Why are you walking away? As I talk, the man walks away. So hurtful. Oh, that is, you're rubbing it in even more. You're getting up in the middle of my presentation of Drink of the Week and walking over to grab that lovely, that beautiful, the coveted championship belt.
Yes. Anyway, sir, please tell us what you're drinking.
Ron, when you think of Wayne, New Jersey, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think that was where you had dumped some bodies we weren't going to talk about that on the podcast.
Don't talk about that.
I don't think of anything when I think of Wayne. What should I think of when I think
you should be thinking of Seven Tribesmen Brewery. We all know that some of the finest, crispest, clearest water in the country comes from Wayne, New Jersey. They have put together a Pilsner called Pines Lake Pils. I'm holding up a can. In a moment, I will hold up. Look at this. This is, I don't want to say this is the champagne of Pilsners, but look at that beautiful color. This is cool. This is crisp. This is a balanced German-style Pilsner. Ron, imagine summer days filled with sailing and swimming, evenings spent relaxing next to a lake. When you're thinking about that, I want you to think at how Beer Advocate has not given this beer a score, but has assigned it a 5.5% ABV. Pine Lakes Pils from Seven Tribesmen Brewery. I'm about to take a sip.
Take a sip. Let us know how it is. We do love a good Pilsner here on the Ron and Brian podcast. You look perplexed, uncertain, going back for a second sip. Let's see what the verdict is, folks.
This Pilsner has a very sharp bite to it, and I'm not sure I like it. but I'm glad I bought a 4-pack on my way home from work today. So this episode could get sloppy, or I save it for an after dark. Sure.
If I remember,
Really.
I believe a sharp bite is what resulted in those individuals needing to be buried in Wayne, New Jersey. Oh, wait, no, sorry. We weren't going to talk about that. Damn it.
Ron, may I ask you a
Yes.
question?
Of course you may.
What are you drinking?
So going back into the beer fridge, going to our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company since we've got the upcoming election, grabbing the Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout. This is part of their progressive beer line series. 5% of all of their profits go to their super PAC, which they call dark money meant for good. And this is, Brian, check this out. This is a 9.8% stout.
Ooh.
That's right. You're talking to someone who's off for the week, doesn't have to go to work in the morning. Check the body on that stout right there. And let's take a sip.
That's the kind of color beer that my father would look at and say, that's the kind of drink that's going to put hair on your balls, young man.
Might just, it's good. It's smooth. I got to tell you, the most dangerous thing about this beer, besides it being, named after a known communist, Kamala Harris, is the fact that it does not taste like a 9.8%. This is a smooth drinking. I would say this drinks like Guinness. That's how smooth it is. So you could easily put 4 or 5 of these down, and then, you'd be passed out at the wall, just like Kamala Harris, letting migrants flow into this country. That's how dangerous this is.
Now, do you think there is some type of correlation between this beer being associated with Kamala Harris and the fact that it is going to attempt to lull you into a state of drunkenness when you will make decisions that are against your will?
I can only speculate, Brian. That's all we were able to do at times is speculate, but you may have something there.
I can also tell you one thing is that I can almost guarantee almost guarantee that beer tastes 1,000 times better than whatever American Trump beer Hulk Hogan was hawking a couple weeks ago.
Well,
Remember that?
I agree with that. Let's not even talk about Hulk Hogan. It's just a sad falling. But let's talk about our beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you today?
All right, I'm coming at you with, as Janelle quoted earlier, white people problems.
All right.
It's not necessarily white people problems, but we're going to get there. And this is actually something, Ron, that I think you would have used and may have used in the past. It is the fine folks over at IKEA. Recently, the lady and I were making the great sacrifice to visit the IKEA superstore in, I believe it's Elizabeth, New Jersey. If you do go visit, make sure you set aside about 5 to 6 hours as you walk through it. We were looking to purchase a chest, a dresser, some type of bookcase type system. We've got a little nook in our living room that she had measured out perfectly to some products that they sold that you could stack several units on top of each other to go vertical. Ron, you understand now. I've got tall ceilings in my living room. We can make use of that vertical space.
Mammoth.
So the actual units come separate from the doors because you want to be able to close a door so as not to get a massive amount of dust or animal hair inside this dresser. We'll call it a dresser. I'm not using the right phrase. So when we were at IKEA, we asked the salesperson, "Hey, are these doors? Do these fit perfectly with the unit when lined up one on top of the other? Because we got the double length doors."
Sure, you want it to be snug, you want it to be tight, you want it to be firm.
And what they said was, oh, no, excuse me, I already screwed this up. We did not get the double length doors. We got 2 sets of doors. So it was one on the bottom, one on the top, and then we were going to put a unit. Problem is, these doors were taller than the actual dresser unit. When lined up vertically, it suddenly was over by probably about 2-3 inches, which prevented us from being able to put a unit on top. Okay, so we were lied to. Not quite worthy of beef of the week. The lady, Mrs. Bryan, because she has the patience of an angel, was nominated as the member of my household to call IKEA to discuss the terms for a return. Here is where my beef comes in. First off, the person, and first off, this is where I truly do love this woman, because she puts the automatically puts it on speakerphone. So walking around the apartment talking to the person, I'm hearing every word of it. Right off the bat, they take the stance that we ordered the wrong doors, so it's our responsibility.
So you had to order the doors separate from the rest of the unit?
We purchased the doors separate from the unit because you have several options of types of doors. You can get glass, frosted, you could get solid. So it's kind of like a mix and match. So we said to the person, hey, this is what we're looking to do. We want 2 dressers, one on top of each other, and then a short one on top. That's the height we're looking for. Can we do this with these doors? Yes, absolutely. So this person on the phone starts blaming us that we ordered the wrong doors. So right off the bat, my lady, starts to drop some heat on this customer service rep. Then, and this is really the last straw in my book, so not taking responsibility for the actions and advice that their salespeople are giving, but then turns around and says that we are responsible for paying a shipping and handling fee to return the doors that we paid a shipping and handling fee to have delivered to us that we never would have purchased had they given us accurate height measurements. We are currently fighting with IKEA. Earlier today, progress was made. A representative said that they are going to be sending us return labels that will not be because you're going to be talking probably about $40-$50 to ship these doors back individually. Yeah. They're not. To me, I would like to go to IKEA and burn them in a bonfire in the parking lot. Maybe set myself ablaze in the process, just to basically spread the word of my suffering. But hopefully, it doesn't get to that point. They have not sent those labels. IKEA, do the right thing. You lied to your customer. Make good. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I will hold out hope for you, because IKEA usually is known for their customer service, but it feels like they have let you down a little bit this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Godspeed to you, my friend.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes.
What's bothering you?
So my beef this week, Brian, has been, and maybe this has happened in years prior, but this is the first year that I've really noticed people rushing the end of summer. As we know, we love summer. We just don't love summer. We love hot podcaster summer.
Hot podcaster summer.
And it seems like initially it was just the pumpkin beers. Like the pumpkin beers used to come out in October, then they started coming out in September. Now they come out in August. Starbucks released the pumpkin spice latte last week. And for like the last couple of weeks, everyone's been talking about fall when it is clearly still summer, and not just summer, but hot podcaster.
Hot podcaster summer.
So in my mind, we've got one more week. We've got the Labor Day holiday coming up. It is still, listen, it was hot out today. I don't know about how it was where you were. But it got warm. It was a warm one. It was a warm one. So we are most clearly not in fall. Halloween stuff at Home Depot, Halloween stuff at Home Goods. I know you went to all the home stores very recently. Were you a little shocked in mid-August to see how much Halloween crap was out already?
It's all Halloween stuff. They're putting Halloween stuff in July.
It's like we've forgotten Labor Day, Brian. We've forgotten the great laborers of this country, and we've just jumped into Halloween. But I don't know why people listen. I love fall. I love a nice, crisp fall day.
Sure.
We'll have NFL and college football soon.
College football started last weekend.
But I don't know why everyone is in a rush to get summer done with. Listen, if you're in Dallas and it's 120 degrees and your power grid goes down every other day, sure, I get it. But in the bulk of the country, let's just enjoy these last few days of Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
You know, the other thing I want to point out is, you know, by talking about fall is not going to change the weather. You know,
exactly.
It makes it seem even more idiotic to be shoving fall down our throats while the temperature is in the 90s, high humidity, with you know, threats of thunderstorms almost every day. You know, the very strong weather, you know, that has taken place in the Northeast during the summers over the past few years. It's not fall, and to be sitting there telling me that you know, I need to start buying my lawn ornaments for Halloween while I'm literally, you know, changing shirts multiple times throughout the day because the back of it gets so sweaty.
That's right. That's right, people. I sweat.
It just seems so out of touch. It's so out of touch.
It almost seems like it's a way so that when they put out the Christmas decorations in September, no one's really going to notice at that point.
Sure.
Idiots. Well, Brian,
idiots.
Let's get to our stories of the week. We know we love stories, but we find two that we love more than others. We nourish them. We suckle them. We raise them from the little bylines that they are up into full-fledged articles, and we share them with you here on the podcast. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
All right. Ron, what are your top three? What are the top three things that you are most afraid of?
Let's see. Top three things that I am most afraid of. Prostate exams. The end of the Ron and Brian podcast. And I would say killer clowns.
Those are your three things that you're most afraid of.
Well, just thinking about it right off the bat, yes.
All right, here are my three. Number one, being raped in prison. Going to prison, becoming somebody's bitch, or maybe the bitch of the entire unit, you know, cell block, whatnot, and literally being forced to lay down on my stomach while man after man anally invades me against my will. That's probably my number one fear. My number two fear is surviving a nuclear holocaust. If the bombs are being dropped, I want to be as close to it as possible, make it over quick. I do not want to survive it. I do not want to be alive when, you know, we are fighting to the death for the small resources that have survived. I'm not looking to, like, walk 84 miles, in poor work shoes to try and find some, potatoes to feed my family. No, I don't want to survive. That's the number three greatest fear I have, is something biting my penis or testicles when I sit down on the toilet. As somebody who, I don't think it's an irrational fear, but, statistically, it doesn't happen.
It's not zero, though. It's not zero,
people, because we need to spread the word of a great man by the name of Thanat Thangatuanan, a man from Thailand who was bitten on the testicles by a 12-foot python while he sat on the toilet. Thanet sat down, felt a sharp pain after he took a seat last Tuesday. This story is according to the Asia Pacific Press. I believe that is that's a news organization not owned by the Murdoch Fox Corporation, so we can trust this news source. Thanet, having incredible self-control, self-awareness, immediately stood up, turned, beat the serpent to death with a toilet brush, leaving his bathroom splattered. There are photos. Somehow he was able to stop the beating of the python. Ron, I don't know whether you want to show. I mean, look at that thing. Can you imagine that coming out of your toilet, snipping you in the testes when you sit down to take one of your famous 10:30 a.m. constitutions? Quote from Thanet: "I felt something biting my balls. It was very painful." This is the Asian Pacific Press, so you know that these quotes are absolutely genuine. I felt something biting my balls. It was very painful. So I put my hands in the toilet to see what was wrong. I was shocked that I grabbed the snake. When the snake didn't budge, he grabbed the toilet brush, began beating it in the head, prompting the snake to release its fangs. Jesus. So while he was doing this, it was still attached to his penis. I quickly stood up, plucked it out. I felt pain, really bad pain. There was blood everywhere, but I was more shocked to have found a python in the toilet. Jaw-dropping photos he posted spread like wildfire on social media. So I guess the word is on this, people. When you sit down on the toilet, please, 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 just take a little gander inside to make sure that one of God's lovely creatures is not hanging out in there ready to bite you in the testes.
And shocking story. I think it's a miss by the toilet brush company to not have signed this man as a spokesperson, because if you make a toilet brush strong enough to beat a 12-foot python to death, how are you not using that in your ad copy? How are you not saying, like, hey, don't know what you're dropping in your toilet, but if this thing can kill a 12-foot python, it can scrub any bowl you've got out there.
Ooh, absolutely. Here, Janelle makes a good question here. Why would you have a fear of going to prison? What have you done? I mean, I think during my formative years, I watched Oz, where there were several characters on that show. I believe it was Beecher, who was the main one, who had been falsely put into prison. That is my fear. I don't think I've done anything in this lifetime. Others may disagree, but I've not done anything in this lifetime that I believe warrants a prison term. However, there are people, and we know for a fact, thanks to a lot of the legal justice organizations out there, there are a lot of people who are in prisons that were falsely accused, found guilty, based on out of line behavior by prosecutors, whatnot. There are a lot of innocent people in prisons. I don't want to be one of them, because we all know that if I do become a prisoner, I will be the bitch of the cell block. We know this.
I mean, it's a very good possibility.
Sure. Ron?
And I'm hearing just now that toilet brush is from the Unger Company, and they have actually just reached out to us to help them promote their indestructible toilet brushes. Go to unger.com and use the promo code Ron's Bowls to get 5% off your toilet brush.
There you go.
We were going to ask.
I went to unger.com. There's nothing about toilet brushes here.
No.
It says translations for global marketplace about Thomas Unger. Ron, what's your story of the week?
So my story of the week this week, Brian, it's about the airline industry. As we know, it is the Wild West, flying on planes these days. Yep. And this story is a perfect example of that. A man and his wife were arrested at a Florida airport Tuesday after refusing to get off of an American Airlines flight when the crew became concerned about the man's bloodied head. Apparently, he had some hair plugs, hair restoration surgery earlier in the day. He had a bandage on his head that appeared to be falling off. And apparently the crew members were disturbed. I'll put up the picture. You tell me if
Mhm.
they had the right to be concerned or not.
Jesus Christ.
So there we go. Literally a bloody head, blood somewhat running down his forehead. Clearly, you can
Yeah.
see he's had hair restoration surgery. This is Eugenia Ernesto Hernandez Garnier. He boarded his plane like that, and he and his wife were eventually escorted off the plane in handcuffs. Crew members initially asked him to clean the bloody area and replace
Mhm.
his bandages, but he said that he didn't have any extras to do so. They then told him that he had to deboard the plane because they were concerned both about his medical condition and the potential for contamination within the cabin. Very valid points there. But he and his wife refused to comply. His wife reportedly said that if she and her husband couldn't fly, quote, no one else can either. American Airlines called the police and had them removed. They were charged with, hold on. That doesn't say, trespassing and for a warning and resisting an officer without violence. She apparently also had cosmetic surgery while visiting Miami, but hers, I guess, healed prior to getting on the flight.
Wow.
I can't imagine if you've had hair restoration surgery same day. I can't imagine you would be cleared to fly.
No, I can't imagine it. Or you shouldn't be. I mean, or at least be given a proper amount of bandages.
Also, kind of shocking that this is American Airlines. I would have pegged this for a Spirit Airlines incident.
Mm-hmm. Or Frontier.
Frontier. I mean, it's pretty much the same.
Janelle says, "Take this picture down." We take it down. It was gross. Honestly, he looked like somebody who was the final survivor in Saw 18.
What is interesting is
Jigsaw scalps him, and then he somehow runs away.
His wife is wearing a hospital gown in her mugshot. So,
congratulations, you have won the game.
When did we lose our minds as a country, Brian?
Honestly, if Billy were here, he would say 1980 when Ronald Reagan took over and mental health services across this country, the funding was just completely wiped out in the form of tax breaks for the wealthy and the corporations.
Like when we were kids, when we were flying, there was a dignity to it. There was a little pomp and circumstance to it.
Sure.
Now you're in a middle seat next to a guy with head trauma bleeding down his forehead.
Would you not be tempted to just how do I say this politely? Just slide your finger all over in there and just kind of poke and prod to see what's going on?
You like, does this hurt? Does this hurt?
What about this?
I can feel your little hair nubs right through the skin.
That'd be great. I think that'd be fun.
And I feel like that's a lot of blood in general. Number one, to be released from a procedure, but just number two, from a hair plug procedure in general. I'm not 100% sure how it goes down, but that seems like a lot of blood. Like, I feel like perhaps, again, just perhaps, maybe he didn't go to a licensed doctor for that.
But it's also possible that he had it done, the procedure done, say 9 o'clock in the morning, and booked himself on a 5 o'clock flight to go home. Whereas maybe you should be under some type of medical supervision, even if not at a hospital, home, but you're checking in on a daily basis. Maybe you should stay for about 3, 4, 5 days before getting on a plane.
Right. Speaking of travel, Brian, it was Ron and Brian Take Manhattan this weekend. My lady and I drove out to the stellar suburban town of West New York, New Jersey, to stay in Castle Perlis for the weekend. The views, the height, the skyline, the ivory tower, so much more ivory than you could have even imagined.
That's not true.
So high up in the air. You have, I thought it was kind of weird when we walked in the door and you handed all of us personal oxygen tanks. You're like, you're going to want this. The air is a little high up here. And then just, because we were so close to the sun, how bright and how warm it was in there. But just a beautiful spot for you and your lady. And again, can't beat the view, can't beat the seclusion. You had us help you throw some people out of your property, which I get it now. I get why you like policing the grounds the way that you do.
Yeah, listen, it is, there is, how do I put this politely? Because I really don't want my words to be taken out of context. But,
We would never do
when
that.
when you are living in an exclusive building, in an exclusive neighborhood, there is a premium you are paying for that exclusivity. You can't have just anybody walking the streets, meandering. There are people from, surrounding areas, neighborhoods, they're the ones that are providing the support for the people of West New York. They are going to be the nannies, the people, working in the supermarkets, and, the people that come by and, pick up after the dogs and whatnot. They need to be close, but, you don't want them too close. So, when you see some people that don't quite unquote look like they belong, it's very important that you do walk up to them, impede their forward progress and demand that they produce some kind of documentation that shows proof that they are residents of the area before you allow them to continue on their stroll.
I mean, I think, you got a little intense at times, yelling, show me your papers to people. But listen, it's your area. I'm not going to criticize because I don't live there. But as has been the tradition for the last couple of years, went to Yankee Stadium for Old Timers Day. Beautiful day for baseball. A little
Wonderful.
warm. We sweat a little bit. Our backs were a little sweaty sitting in those chairs. But a great old timers ceremony, again, celebrating the 15th anniversary of the 2009 World Championship team, followed by the current New York Yankees just fucking stinking up the entire place.
Stunk up the whole fucking place.
9-2 against the Colorado Rockies, a team that's
terrible.
20 games under 500.
I believe so.
Just disappointing. I think this is the third year in a row that we've gone to the Old Timers Day game, and the third time that they have lost.
It's painful.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But
it's a shame.
A good time nonetheless. And then we followed that up with a little. Did we do a little pool time after the game? I forget what happened after the game.
We did do a little pool time after the game. We came home. The ladies had left the game before us because if you think a 9-2 loss is not interesting and not entertaining to attend, imagine if you're not even a fan of baseball. I will give your wife a lot of credit. She made it past the fourth inning of the baseball game. However, or did she leave in the fourth?
No, she left in the fourth. Yeah, she actually. Yeah, okay, she made it. We got there at 11:15 for a 2:05 start to watch the old time. So she sat through old timer ceremony, watching people that she only knows because we talk about them. Although she now apparently is a very big Nick Swisher fan.
Apparently,
she got a little
Did you get any loving?
Little crush on the Switch.
Did you get any loving? What she called you a swish? She never called you. She's not calling you swish in bed now.
Maybe we'll see. But yeah, just
well, pool time after that. Yesterday, hours of pool time. As you can see, I got a little color in the nose.
You don't reapply sunscreen enough. I got to tell you, you gotta take a little better care of yourself.
Well, I know I should, but I don't really go out in the sun enough. So I'm okay with the small amount of sun that I do get. If I were somebody who goes out in the sun often enough, I would say I would be concerned.
Janelle apparently also a big Nick Swisher fan, which I like Nick Swisher. Never thought of him as an overly attractive man, but apparently he is. I think great personality, lots of fun, it seems. And apparently easy on the eyes.
I believe Janelle has a photo with Mr. Nick Swisher.
Ooh.
I believe she met him and has a photo with him.
Now,
Share that with the wife to make him jealous.
I always thought Tino Martinez was the best looking Yankee during that World Championship run.
Listen, all I'm going to say is that if I'm ever falsely accused of a crime, am found guilty, am sent to prison, am locked in cell block H, tied down onto one of those mattresses, hands tied to the bedpost, and Tino Martinez walks in, I'm going to say this. I'm going to relax my rectum. I'm not going to tighten it. I'm going to relax it. Tino deserves the best of me. He deserves the best of me.
Allie bringing up a great point. Personality more than looks, and the swish. What can I tell you? He looks like he's a lot of fun. AJ Burnett was there. David Cohn. Sweet Lou Piniella
Didn't look good.
Gaunt. A little worried about Sweet Lou.
Also, first Old Timers Day that Alex Rodriguez attended.
Which I'm torn about. I never liked A-Rod. I never liked him as a Yankee.
I did.
Never.
I said it to you at the game, and I'll say it to you again over here. It's better to have him on your side than playing against him, and that's how I felt about him. I never treated him like he was a Yankee. He was on our team. He played for us. He wore the uniform, but I don't believe he ever had the values.
He did not subscribe to the Yankee way.
No, I see. You have this talent of using few words to describe what I am using 20 for. He played for us, and I believe he did very well for us. But still,
I would
don't
put
see
him
him
in the same category as Roger Clemens. Played for the team, not a Yankee.
Yeah, but I would say Roger Clemens did subscribe to the Yankee way.
Yeah, Janelle has a pick with Mariano Rivera. Mo was there. A little disappointed that he seems to have gone a little MAGA in his retirement days, but
did he really?
Yeah, he's a Trump supporter. He's done some appearances with him, I believe.
Listen, I've reached that point where I have such a disdain for politics that I genuinely don't care about somebody's political beliefs. Do I believe that, we live in an age where there's just a cult of personality around somebody who is completely unwarranted? Absolutely.
Right.
But, I know who I'm going to vote for. It was determined months ago. That person's no longer running. They've been replaced by somebody else, and I'm going to vote for that person. And the truth be told is, I didn't watch. Did you watch any of the Democratic convention?
No. I caught some highlights on TikTok, and that was about it.
Yeah, I did not watch any of the Democratic. I didn't watch any of the Republican. My vote has already been decided. Nothing that can happen will change it. So at that point, it is a matter of why would I expose my soul to the self-serving world that is politics in America in 2024. I'd rather watch another episode of Game of Thrones.
Now that night, I almost forgot, we watched your movie pick of the week, Hollywood Shuffle, starring and written by Robert Townsend, a film we liked when it came out back in the 80s. We were watching it to see if it held up. I mean, and a fairly solid lineup. I mean, Robert Townsend, Dom Herrera, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Helen Martin, John Witherspoon, Kim Wayans. I mean, just a solid crew. And gotta say, did not hold up.
No. It was not good. It was absolutely not good. Anybody in the chat watch the movie? Would love to see what somebody else's opinion of it was. I remember having such fond memories of watching this movie. I remember watching it multiple times. I remember quoting from this movie. Still to this day, if someone's complaining about their job, I always will look at them and say, you can always apply for a job at the post office. It's always work at the post office. Nobody has ever called me out on that reference. I will still keep making it until somebody somebody pointed out. But it just, first off, wasn't funny. I don't think we laughed whatsoever during it. It was cute in different ways, but areas where I thought in the past something was really well written, very clever, incisive. It just, rewatching it now, it was a lot of it felt cheap, like a lot of just like cheap shots, cheap humor. And I realized that a movie that I had looked up to as being very clever and whatnot, really not good. Really not good. And I want to apologize.
Perhaps, let me just throw this out there. Do you think perhaps part of it is it was very strong social commentary for its time? But I think in rewatching this movie now, 35 years later, you see how far the film industry has come as far as their portrayal of minorities, the blaxploitation films, things of that nature. So maybe it's a good thing that it doesn't hold up. Maybe it's a good thing that the message doesn't resonate like it did, 40 years ago.
It's possible. Ron, what movie do you have for us to watch next week?
So the film that I will be asking everybody to watch, and it is a classic, I'm not going to lie, UHF by Weird Al Yankovic, came out in 1989, I think.
Okay.
It's Weird Al plays himself somewhat. He is not, a performer in this, but he plays a guy that takes over his family UHF TV station and tries to make it successful. I am hopeful that this holds up because, again, I find it's very similar to Hollywood Shuffle, where it's less of a movie and more just a bunch of individual bits clipped together to try and make a movie storyline.
Right.
So I'm hoping UHF doesn't let me down. So everybody, that's your assignment for the week. Don't forget, we also
where is this movie available? Where do we have?
I have no idea. I haven't
this movie. Is this
I haven't researched it yet, so I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Google UHF Weird Al, see where it comes up.
Hold on, I'm getting a message from Matt that says right now it's freely available on YouTube. The entire hour and 34 minutes is on YouTube. Go if you are not a member of our Patreon. We will be sending out a link to that YouTube page for all members. I didn't even realize this is something I learned recently. You can join our Patreon at a non-monetary contributing level.
Really?
Where we can send out communiques to our fans over on Patreon. They don't necessarily have to be contributing. We can make it such that they don't get access to After Dark, but we can make sure that they get access to some content. So I think we may be expanding that. So for those who don't have the money or do not want to contribute money to help offset some of the costs that Ron and I incur regularly to keep this show free for everybody on this planet, you can join at a non-paying tier. You will not earn any swag. You will not get access to the After Dark, I said, but we'll make sure you get access to some content.
There you go. And don't forget, we also, last night, was it last night? Weekend just flew by so fast. We watched the Nicolas Cage film. This was 2 nights ago. We watched the Nicolas Cage film, Longlegs. My wife had been wanting to watch this movie for a while. For whatever reason, it had gotten good reviews. It's an independent film. Nicolas Cage apparently plays a serial killer of some sort that is being investigated by the FBI. Kind of a weird character. Not a great movie. Not a great story, not great characters, very difficult to follow, and still.
When you say not that great, can you answer me what was slightly or even partially great about it? Because I found it just fucking painful, utterly painful.
I was trying to be polite, but it was not good. I don't know why it's gotten such good reviews. Maybe the film industry has passed us by, Brian. It's very possible.
It was, so the story is there is a character by the name of Longlegs who has been involved in a series of family murders over, 2 decades, where a family member murders everybody in their family. So, for instance, a mother will kill her husband and children, or a father will kill the mother and children. And then they find letters from Longlegs and whatnot, and we don't see Longlegs for a while, and it's not very good.
Nope. Well, regardless, it was a great weekend. Great to see you. Great to hang out. We will obviously need to do it again soon. Getting back into some of our stories, we've got some follow-ups of some stories that we have done in prior weeks. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago where we talked about the social media influencer and his brother who were in jail over in Dubai, claiming they had been drugged during a yacht party. Joseph and Joshua Lopez. Follow up to that story is
I hope they're doing okay.
Well, they have been sentenced to jail for alcohol consumption, a law that is strictly enforced in that Middle Eastern nation. They will each serve a month in prison for the drinking alcohol charge they received while on their visit to the Emirates. Now, again, let's remember they went to an after party. They found somebody who just said, "Hey, you guys want to go to a party?" Drove them to a party at a club. All of a sudden, all this alcohol and food gets brought out. 15 minutes later, they get handed this big bill, and they like, "All right, well, I guess we'll pay it because we don't want to get our asses kicked in Dubai." So you would think, again, they would just go home. No, second person is like, "Oh, well, let's finish the night well. Come to this yacht party." Go to the yacht party. They both black out, wake up in an unmarked vehicle, being arrested by Dubai police.
It can't be a fun feeling. There's no way that can be a fun feeling.
No, not at all. So he is again. They are both doing 1 month in jail over in Dubai. Again, I guess it could have been worse, but hopefully, once that is done, they will be able to come back to the country. But again, don't do stupid stuff when you're traveling abroad.
Yeah,
bad people out there.
And I think we had this story earlier. There was another story we did recently of a series of Americans that were arrested in, I want to say, the Caribbean.
Because they were carrying bullets and coming back from bullets. Turks and Caicos is where they were coming back from.
If you are going to be traveling into another country, please take some time before you go, get an understanding of what the laws there are, or Google what are the differences in laws between where I live and where I am going. For instance, before I went to China earlier this year, I said, what beers am I allowed to bring? And they said, oh, you can bring Kamala beer, as long as it's a comma in the law, because they want that type of a beverage for their people.
Right.
I know not to bring bullets to Turks and Caicos. Like if I'm going into a Middle Eastern country where alcohol is banned throughout the land, except in Western hotels where apparently they just look the other way, I'm going to be on my best behavior.
There you go. A lesson learned, hopefully, for these two young men.
Sure.
And for our listeners out there. Also, a follow-up to the story involving the death of Kanokorpom Tangswan at one of the Disney resort restaurants. Her husband, Jeffrey Piccolo, suing the Disney organization, who then claimed because in a legal filing, because he had done a 1-month trial of Disney Plus on his Xbox back in 2019, meant that this should go to arbitration. Well, the pushback was so huge, probably again from people listening to it on this podcast, that Disney has backtracked and has reversed its decision, has pulled that particular motion, but has not yet refiled I mean, I'm sure they're still going to try and get this suit tossed out.
Sure.
But they have just pulled the argument that, because this guy had a Disney Plus account, that he needs arbitration. The Disney chairman of Disney Experiences, Josh D'Amaro, said, quote, "At Disney, we strive to put humanity above all other considerations."
How
I
can you
think
make a comment like that?
I think if that was true, they would just pay out rather than trying to fight
Settle.
the wrongful death settlement.
Wow. I feel like one of the problems is in our lifetime, it has become socially acceptable to just put out there bald-faced lies, knowing that nobody will ever call you out on it. To be able to be a corporation that files legal paperwork saying that a man cannot sue because his wife died in your restaurant because, 10 years ago, he got a trial subscription to your streaming service, to then turn around and say that you consistently are striving for the betterment of your customer. I mean, how on earth can you make a claim like that and act like you're going to get away with it and get away with it?
Right. And they may still, they're still going to fight it. They're still going to try and get it thrown out. They're just going to change the argument that they use to try and get out of having any responsibility.
Unbelievable.
One person who did finally take responsibility this past week, former representative from Long Island, George Santos, admitted to betraying his constituents, pleading guilty to corruption charges, which could land him to prison for several years. Santos copped a plea deal to 2 counts, committing wire fraud and aggravated identity theft, just 3 weeks before he was set to stand trial on nearly 24 charges, for which he faced 20 years in prison. He will face a minimum of 2 years behind bars and a maximum of 20 years when he is sentenced on February 7th. Federal guidelines call for a sentence of between 6 to a little over 7 years in prison. I think the most shocking thing about this, George Santos is only 36. That is a rough 36 he's looking like right there.
30. He's only 36?
He is only 36 years old. Great point. Talk about being someone's bitch in prison. I feel that might be where George is headed to.
Yeah, but George could actually be liking that. That might be.
Maybe that's why he took the plea.
We're
just speculate. We don't know.
We speculate. It's what we do. We speculate because sometimes facts are not out there for you. Do the best you can, people.
How is Cameo going to continue if George Santos is in prison?
Well, I think there's plenty of people on Cameo. I imagine Cody Rhodes is making just boatloads of cash. I imagine that who's the female dentist that turns into a wrestler? I imagine she's doing very well.
Britt Baker, is that who you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm imagining she's doing very well on Cameo. I imagine Eddie Deason just raking in the dough on Cameo. And really, when you think about it, that's what the platinum is for. If you're going to sit there and say, when I look at Cameo, what am I? You want a C-level actor who starred in Grease. That's what you want.
That's their wheelhouse right there. If you can pay $22, you pay $22 on Discount Friday and get yourself a video by Eddie Deason. Why not? It used to be, Brian, the most dangerous thing at Shake Shack was those horrible burgers that they serve. But now a gay man has claimed that he was beaten up by multiple Shake Shack employees after he kissed his boyfriend while waiting in line for their food. This is Christian Dingus. He said the violence unfolded at the Shake Shack spot in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. Last Saturday night after he tried to ask how much longer they would have to wait for their order. Dingus claims a worker got aggressive when he asked for a timing update, and his partner pulled him aside in a bid to defuse the situation. So then his boyfriend kissed him, and another worker came up and said, "Hey, you guys can't do that here." And then apparently there was a confrontation between the couple and the employees at the Shake Shack.
Because apparently what you're not allowed to do is to kiss your partner while in line at Shake Shack. There can be no
Apparently.
public displays of affection in Shake Shack where you are about to take on 4,000 calories of fat and saturated fats and salt in a short period of time. I mean, we care. We care.
So cops responded and are probing the beating as a possible hate crime. No arrests have been made, but Shake Shack said the staffers involved had been suspended pending an investigation. I got to say, we were at, I forgot to mention that. We were at Citizens Bank Park on Wednesday night for the Bruce Springsteen
Talk
concert.
about that.
And I grabbed a burger at Shake Shack because it was the shortest line to get something to eat, which should have been a clue to begin with, but just not a good burger. Great spot to sit and watch the concert because we could still see the screens from the Shake Shack seating.
Sure.
But not a great burger.
What was not great about it?
I would say the patty had been cooked a while before it was served to me, and there was many varying temperature levels of the different components.
Really? Okay.
Lukewarm burger with a cold tomato and a cold bun. Just not what I was looking for.
Interesting. The last time I've had several good experiences with Shake Shack, but none of them recent. Also, I have to admit, the last time I had Shake Shack was at a rest stop on the Jersey Turnpike, heading up to Boston, and it was a frightening amount of salt.
Oh yeah,
frightening. Like, I mean, to the point where like halfway through it, I was just like, should I really keep eating this, or am I done?
Listen, and I get it. Like I probably should have opted for something a little healthier, like maybe like a 2-foot cheesesteak, or some crystal meth outside the stadium.
Sure.
But
or a couple soft pretzels
at a $20 Yingling still pisses me off that it was $20 for a 24-ounce Yingling.
Yeah, that's kind of harsh. I'll be the first. That's harsh.
And gotta say, we discovered that we are casual fans of Bruce Springsteen. We are not deep fans of Bruce Springsteen, because
which
most
is a shame.
Of list we did not know.
Which is a real shame, because if you look at the songs that were played, you got an incredible set. You got "Prove It All Night." Second song right off the bat. Two hearts are better than one. Darkness on the Edge of Town, one of my favorite Bruce songs. He's only 5 songs into his set, and I've already heard 3 bangers. Does the Promised Land, Hungry Heart. How do you complain? Hungry Heart, 7th in the set list, Ron.
Promised Land.
Then he does Waiting on a Sunny Day.
Couple of songs I recognized.
Ron, he does Waiting on a Sunny Day. That was the first time that song had performed in the United States since 2016. He does Atlantic City, the E Street Shuffle, Because the Night, the Patti Smith, forget it. I'm on Fire, She's the One, Wrecking Ball. Listen to this. Wrecking Ball, The Rising, Badlands, Thunder Road, Born to Run, Rosalita, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, 10th Avenue, Freeze Out, Twist and Shout. Gee, I mean, that you're talking about the last hour of this concert being some of the greatest American popular music that has been written over the past 50 years by one person.
And I will say, clearly the crowd loved Bruce. There was, it is rare that I am in a concert setting where I feel like I could kick the asses of 80% of the people there. But, most of them probably would have turned into dust if I had hit them. But lots of older people, lots of weed going on. Even in these COVID days, people are okay with passing a joint around. I don't know that that's safe these days. But listen, the man looks spectacular. Number one, for 74 years old. Like, if I can, I don't look like that now. He's had some work, all right.
But he's had some work done, and unfortunately, he's hit that stage of it where it's showing that he's had work done. It's not looking good. The man is 70s. He needs to have some wrinkles on his face. He has none.
He gets down in the crowd. He interacts with the crowd. He played for over 3 hours.
Yep.
Like I'm winded now. We've done this
Yes.
podcast for about an hour, and I am almost spent, and I have been stationary this entire time. So don't get me wrong. I have incredible respect for Springsteen doing what he's doing at his age, putting on that type of concert. And I think that shows what a great performer he is. We still had a great time despite not knowing a lot of the songs because he is just such an awesome performer. He connects with the crowd. It's a great atmosphere. But
also, even with Bruce, I was
Pink Cadillac. That's all I wanted was Pink Cadillac.
I don't think he does it very often. But the thing about Bruce is the fact of if you don't know this song, odds are the next one's going to be one that's going to be a banger, especially as he progresses on the show. Maybe you and the missus don't see the first hour. Maybe you come in at hour 2 and watch hours 2 and 3, where you're going to get hits.
Now we know the answer. Brian, how are you a fan of Applebee's, Brian? I know you're not.
Love Applebee's. Love Applebee's.
So apparently there was a woman who was eating a little too good in the neighborhood. This is Shawnisha Cobbs. She ended up behind bars after taking her friends out to the boneless buffalo wing mecca that is Applebee's in Portage, Indiana. And apparently she tried to feed her entire table with a single all-you-can-eat meal. So it was her, 2 other adults, and several children told police that they ordered one all-you-can-eat special to share with their table for $15.99. The meal deal includes endless boneless wings, riblets, double crunch shrimp, and fries. Holy shit, that's a deal.
Yeah, it's a deal.
But the real issue happened when the bill came and an Applebee's manager informed the group that each person would have to pay for 1 serving of the deal. Police were eventually called to the scene with dispatchers warning cops ahead of time to expect, quote, multiple females screaming and, quote, threatening people. Cobb's group found the revelation, quote, very unprofessional and fought tooth and nail to pay no more than $16 for their big night out. They argued that the menu did not specify that the deal didn't cover the table, but cops did see the words per person in bold letters beneath the all-you-can-eat heading, which I'm pretty sure most restaurants, when they do that all-you-can-eat, 100% put in there, no sharing.
Sure. Listen, I give her some credit because she tried. She took a chance. She saw a fastball coming down on the inside corner. She took the shot. She was proven wrong. They said to her, "Hey, it's per person." The proper response at this point is, "Hey, I tried. You got me." All right, not to become unruly as if you have been somehow wronged. You knew going into it that you were not doing what you should have been, what the essence of that all-you-can-eat policy was.
How much do you have to hate yourself to say unlimited riblets, boneless wings, shrimp, and endless fries, and I should really go and eat that?
Ron, not everybody is in a socioeconomic class that you and the missus reside in. Maybe it's possible these people don't own a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Maybe these people are not sitting there saying, "Hey, I can't wait for a couple more weeks of summer so I can enjoy my personal pool in the backyard." Maybe this was the only way that this woman could feed her family on a meal outdoors. Maybe this was the only chance they could go to a restaurant, was to enjoy that all you can eat. For you to sit here in your suburban house and judge other people and how they live, it really doesn't sit well with me. You don't know what what this woman is going through. You don't know what her struggles are. And for you to just sit there and mock her because, ooh, look at me, I eat bok choy. I know exactly, what's good with,
Well, I can tell you. Yes. I can tell you what she's going through now. She was arrested for disorderly conduct faces a maximum sentence of 180 days behind bars and a $1,000 fine.
And I hope she is found guilty and does a maximum sentence. She knew exactly what she was doing when she showed up. She knew she was trying to game the system, thought she was being clever, and when confronted with it, behaved inappropriately. What the proper response was, "Hey, I tried. You can't be mad at me. I did, I did what I could." But at that point, you pay the price.
Yeah, you try, you make an effort. Again, shoot or shoot. But
Sure.
when you get called on it, just you should just say,
Own up to it.
right. Yeah, like, all right, you got me. I tried.
You got me.
Did my best.
Tried. That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
I feel bad for the kids. I feel the kids should be eating
Of
something
course.
better than riblets and bottomless fries.
You feel bad for the kids, but to me, I feel bad for the kids that they're sitting there. Their parents are like, or their parent sat there and said, "Hey, let's go out to eat tonight. We're going to Applebee's," and your experience in Applebee's is to sit there watching your mother and her friends screaming at a poor service worker who's literally just trying to bring you food and collect the check at the end of the meal, and not need the police to be called. Jesus, it's just sad.
One final story here, Brian. An embattled Oklahoma judge facing a plethora of felony gun charges for drive-by shootings is demanding he keep his job after being suspended for allegedly having sex with a bailiff inside of his courthouse. Garfield County Associate District Judge Brian Lavelle is accused of having inappropriate relationships with two female bailiffs, with the judge allegedly having sex with one of them inside the courthouse bathroom and in her office. Lavelle's, love this, love attorneys, fucking love attorneys. Lavelle's attorneys claim the married judge should not be removed over the affair because sex is, quote, no longer the unforgivable sin it once was, citing 50 Shades of Grey, Sex and the City, and popular songs by Marvin Gaye as examples of sex being in the mainstream zeitgeist.
Really? So Sex and the City is a popular TV show, so he should be able to bang underlings?
So because we don't look at sex the same way that we used to, it doesn't matter that this is a man abusing his position in power to have inappropriate relationships with two female bailiffs. But this guy must have game, because he is not what you would call a handsome man, I don't think.
No, I would say he has the face of a boiled cabbage. To argue again, I love it. Must be the same lawyers that said that it was the Disney Plus lawyers. Like that, he must have gotten those same ones. Of course he did. Just lawyers are scumbags.
But the funny thing is last September, he was indicted in Texas for allegedly shooting 6 parked cars at an intersection outside a Tex-Mex restaurant, where police said he fled the scene and rammed his SUV into a woman's car twice. He was also indicted this May for allegedly firing several rounds into his brother-in-law's Oklahoma home with a .40 caliber Glock pistol back in February of 2023. He told police his gun was stolen, but police then found it in his possession with the bullets matching both shooting incidents.
Jesus, this guy's a danger to society.
The balls to be like, I shouldn't lose my job over these 27 separate incidents.
And he's a judge, correct?
He is, yes.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part, is that he's walking around. He's the one whose job it is to pass judgment on other criminals.
I got no answers for that, Brian. I got no answers.
I can't help you there.
Brian, this has been a great episode.
Great episode.
Worth the wait for those of you expecting the episode on Sunday night and then joining us on Monday night. We are doing our Patreon in about 21 minutes. We're not going to do the pajama party. We're not going to do Can You Beat Brian, because not everybody can attend. And I feel like I've put together a stellar Can You Beat Brian. And what I
put it on ice, we will get back to it.
What I love about this postponement is I know it's going to sit in the back of your head and it's going to eat away at you, wondering what is the topic? What is the theme of this Can You Beat Brian?
Get
And
nervous.
I
I'm getting nervous.
You would never guess it. You would never guess what I have
Yes.
done, what I've molded with these hands, Brian. I'm a little buzzed. That 9.8 just kind of kicks in. I might
Maybe
have a
drink
second
another one. Maybe
Listen,
I
don't
say
have
you
work
do
tomorrow.
drink another one, King.
I don't have
You are
work
King.
tomorrow.
You don't have to go to work tomorrow. You can stay up as late as you want. Nurse off.
But anyway,
Sleep it off.
if you are not a Patreon subscriber, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click on become a patron. You can join. As Brian mentioned earlier, you can join with no monetary commitment just to get our emails that we send out to our Patreon subscribers. But if you do decide to spare a few dollars, listen, for $10 a month, you can join the live Patreon every Sunday night, as well as the pajama party that we do once every month. And we have our Patreon subscribers come in. So let's weigh this out. Unlimited riblets, shrimp, and fries are $15.99. Unlimited entertainment is $10.
Priceless.
I think I know which one I'd pick.
And you would make the right decision.
There you go. Brian, anything else before we wrap up episode 318?
I think we're good to go.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, Patreon folks. We'll see you in a few minutes. Everybody else, we will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again